Fighting out of the red corner, he's wearing the white trunks with blue trim and weighs an even 114 pounds. He's a native of Brazil, but now living and fighting out of Los Angeles, California. His professional record, 19-1, 11 of those 19 victories by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, Claudemir Diaz. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with white trim, he weighs an even 117 pounds, from Las Vegas, Nevada. His professional record, undefeated, 19-0, 14 KOs, number 2 in the world by the WBC, number 1 by the WBO. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Eagle, Kid Akeem.
Okay, gentlemen, I've given you both your instructions in the dressing room already. Give me a clean fight and listen to my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you.
So look at Kid Akeem, who, as you mentioned, is 19 up and none down, 14 knockouts. He's not necessarily a one-punch knockout guy, but he works well behind that jab. In the other corner is Claudemir Diaz. And again, we say we don't really know a lot about him, but one thing that we do know, he went 12 rounds with Hilario Zapata in a challenge for the WBA flyweight championship. He says, though, he's a little bit more comfortable at that weight.
Yes, he does. You know, and that's a good result for him to go the distance with Zapata. Now, of course, it was in Brazil, not in Mexico, which I don't know if that helps you go the distance, but, you know, you would think it might help him get a decision.
And the knockout ratio, as you can see, Diaz, not a guy who's likely to get you out of there. And even though Akeem does have a high knockout ratio, he's also not a guy who's going to get you out with one punch, but he's a devastating body puncher, and he works well off the jab.
Well, he does put his hands together very well, Barry, but I believe that he's the kind of fighter that needs a little distance. He needs some leverage on his punches. I think that inside, he gets smothered a little bit, and I know that they're working on him to improve his inside fighting.
Right at the moment, Diaz is fighting Akeem's fight. And that may just be a healthy respect.
Well, he may not have the timing yet on that jab. That's what happens early in a fight. You have to sort of get down the speed and the distance of a jab and learn to slip it.
In fact, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because the few times that I've seen Kid Akeem fight, if there's any criticism of him at all, is that he doesn't get out very quickly.
But right now, he's fighting exactly the way his people want him to fight, and that is at distance. He's fighting a much smaller man. Akeem is 5'9", which is very big for a super flyweight. And the thing that he has to do is keep his man away. There's no sense in fighting inside with a smaller man.
You can see him picking most of Diaz's punches on his gloves.
There are a lot of boxing people that are very high on Kid Akeem, Barry. In fact, I've even heard comparisons to Sandy Sadler, which...
It certainly is a physical comparison.
Yes, I would say so, but it's a little premature.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest featherweights of all time, and also one of the best punchers pound for pound.
And in Kid Akeem's corner, in fact, you might even hear the voice of Miguel Diaz, I think one of the great minds in the training business.
Let's go. Okay.
I sense a note of disagreement.
Not at all. I think
it's just you and I here. We're amongst a few friends.
Is an excellent trainer, but it's one of the great minds. This is boxing.
Well, I'm talking training here. We're not talking physics.
Akeem really set down on that right hand to the body. He tried to put some steam into that one.
Coming to the end of the first round, and a very quiet first round. I'll tell you what, you could have this one in a phone booth. We'll be back. Well, Kid Akeem just seemed to do a little bit more in that first round, and I would have to think that was probably enough for him to win that round. We start round 2.
Well, the thing with Diaz was that he had absolutely no idea of how to get past that jab. Now he seems to be trying something a little different. There's some side-to-side movement in there. Let's just see if it gets him any closer.
And look at the numbers in the first round. Boy, talk about doing nothing.
The guys that are counting the punches aren't doing very much either right now.
That's true.
That was a heck of a left hook to the body.
That's what really has been the hallmark of Akeem's success. He has simply worn people down as he gets into the later rounds, and he's done it with great body work.
And one thing that we should mention, Barry, is that this is a fighter who's only 21 years old. You know, to body punch like that, that's a lost art. Not too many fighters do it anymore, especially young fighters aren't really interested in it.
And you can see him just dig that left hand to the body and do it with some consistency here. Diaz was training for another fight in California. Took this fight on short notice, but was in training for a fight that he had hoped would take place in Los Angeles. Right hand by Diaz, got there.
A good counter by Akeem, who came right back with a right uppercut. Right now, Akeem is basically able to do anything he wants to do with Diaz. Diaz, in fact, is playing into his hands by backing off a bit after Akeem jabs.
Yeah, Diaz has really done nothing to get himself inside and stay there.
He landed that one, though. He landed that one to the top of the head of Akeem, and he took a step back. I don't think Akeem was hurt, but I think he felt it.
Diaz got there with the left hand, too, and that actually forced Akeem backward.
Watch that head, watch that head, watch that head.
Kevin Gibson telling him to watch their heads.
Right where Diaz is now, not in a clinch, but inside close, is the way he wants to fight Akeem.
Fighting with a little bit more confidence in his second round is Diaz. Diaz has only one loss, and that was the one we talked about a moment ago with Zapata. And there's Akeem again working off the jab and then coming underneath to the body.
That was a stiff jab that Akeem just landed, and you can see Diaz ran into it.
Double right hand to the body that time by Akeem.
Watch your feet, gentlemen, watch your feet.
So we head for the end of round number 2. Pretty much more of same. A little bit more aggression from Diaz, but Akeem's round again.
Here, that Diaz landed an effective punch at the end of round 2, but you'd see there it was more of a cuff, Barry, and Akeem was just off balance.
And Akeem doing what he needs to do, working the body and working the jab in that second round very effectively.
There were moments, you know, in spite of that, Barry, where the two fighters were a bit closer than I think Akeem wanted to be.
There was a clash of heads right there, too, and that is something that Akeem's going to have to be acutely aware of. And on your part, a shutout so far, Wally, for Akeem.
Well, that was an easy one so far. Diaz just seems at a loss to really get inside consistently. He's trying to reach Akeem with single shots. You know, leaping in with left hooks that you really can't do against a kid like Akeem.
And again, the body punching of Akeem really, the type of punches that will take a toll as this fight goes on. It's the third round.
But you have to wonder, Barry, why doesn't Diaz try to go to the body of Akeem? Akeem seems to be wide open for body punches. Or at least it's easier to hit his body because he's got a long body and his elbows are spread kind of wide down at the bottom, but Diaz hasn't tried it.
Yeah, Diaz has stayed at the end of Akeem's jab. He missed with that right hand.
It seems like Diaz has settled into a pattern now where he's letting Akeem lead and then he's trying to counter, but he keeps falling short because he's at a major disadvantage in reach.
Miguel Diaz offering a good piece of advice right there, saying don't throw yourself at him inside, as Akeem that time was off balance.
That's Miguel Diaz, alias the Everlast Einstein.
That's right. That's right. And so he shall be called.
There's that jab again by Akeem. You know, he can really win this fight just by using the jab. I don't think he needs any other punch, really, to keep this man off.
Akeem looking forward to a title shot. He hopes in January. He figures he'll be a mandatory challenger come January against the champion, Korean, who I know you have his name right on the tip of your tongue.
Oh, of course. You know, I'm an expert on Korean boxing, as you well know. In any case, I know that Akeem does not want to fight the champion in Korea.
I'll bet you one of his names has 3 letters.
And a hyphen. And the winning name is Sun Kill Moon.
Absolutely.
Them heads, Darryl, watch them heads. They have that.
And round number 3, and pretty much more of same. Kid Akeem not exactly bringing folks to their feet here in this fight, but doing what he has to do, I suppose.
Well, you know, he's fighting a durable guy.
We throw on the right hand.
We can be pretty sure of that.
And then we do this, and we stay over there. Throw the right hand and come back with the left hook. Okay? Breathe deep. Come on. Breathe deep.
See, this is a mild warning. I'm watching both corners, heads inside.
Please, Akeem, start throwing your combination. Okay? Don't be lazy up there.
No.
You know, you don't want to throw with, you're going to throw this guy with only one punch. I told you already.
Yeah.
This is the guy that's going to go with the combination, nothing else.
It's dangerous to get close to him.
I know, well, but don't pull out. Pull in and pull out. Throw your punches first. Then you pull out, okay?
Here we see Akeem reaching with that jab. One of the few times that he really didn't smash it home into Diaz's face. He's been pretty accurate with it.
So we start round 4, and I thought it was an interesting comment from the fighter himself saying he could be dangerous inside.
Well, I think he especially meant with the heads, because we heard referee Toby Gibson warn both corners for using heads on the inside. I get the feeling that Akeem is just kind of trying to soften his man up and take him out later. As I was starting to say before, I think Diaz is a durable guy, and you're not going to get him out early.
Yeah, in fact, this fight's starting to greatly resemble the fight at State Line, Nevada up at Caesars against Cesar Martinez.
Right, Akeem took his time, and then in the 12th round, he still had something left to get his man out of there. And now he's starting to measure Diaz with that jab, so you figure he's got to be loading up a right hand.
Continuing to work the body. Change in your cut. That was a good left hand by Akeem. You've got Akeem winning the first 3 rounds, no surprise.
I can't make a case for Diaz yet.
Akeem being very effective in this round with the jab and with the body shots.
Diaz almost put Akeem with a short counter left hook, but he's really trying to get the job done with single shots, and I don't think that's the way you do it.
Box it out there. Box it. I know, Clinch. Let's go. Box it out there.
Diaz starting to puff a little bit here. Jab of Akeem working very effectively once again. There's a right hand that staggered Diaz.
He's been trying to set that punch up all round, Barry.
He is just about ready to go here. It will not take much. Akeem looking for one shot, and Diaz is still in big trouble.
Diaz is just trying to avoid getting tagged one more time. He's got a long way to go, though.
Over a minute to go in this round. Diaz still trying to get himself together, although his legs seem under him a little bit more now.
Well, he did fight off pretty well on 2 right hands and a left hook by Akeem. But he fought back pretty well off the far ropes there, Barry. He did hit Akeem with a right hand.
Watch your feet. Keep him up, Akeem. Go, box it out there.
You gotta like the way Akeem mixes up the attack. He started to go a little right hand crazy there, then he stepped back and hit him with a right hand to the body again. It's been a good punch for him all night.
He's got good power in both hands. I really like the way he works the body. Another good body shot with the right hand. A little short with that. Well, it looks as though Claudemir Diaz will get through this 4th round, but it was a tough one and a very good one, conversely, for Kid Akeem.
A little bit like Tommy Hearns in that shot.
He almost wound up with that, didn't he?
I don't know what held Diaz up. He was headed south.
Very tough round for that young man, and it shows. Might be a little bit of fatigue setting in here, too, for Claudemir.
Well, let's see what kind of survival instincts he has. He must have had something to get through 12 rounds in Zapata. He's gone the distance many, many times. In the past 2 years alone, he's gone 10 rounds 4 times.
Through the first 4 rounds, that's indicative of your scorecard right there.
I would say so. Diaz really not land. I don't think he's landed 2 punches successively all night.
He has fought. Diaz has 4 champions. Fought the light flyweight champion, the flyweight champion, super flyweight champion, and the bantamweight champion. So he's been in there against some pretty good fighters. And has beaten, in fact, 3 of those 4.
He's in with another good one here tonight, Barry.
I think so, too. I'm glad to hear you substantiate that. I know you hadn't seen Kid Akeem prior to tonight. And,
he has some things to learn, but he really had, you know what, first of all, his body is going to help him quite a bit because that's a tremendous advantage. At 115 pounds to be 5'9", if he stays at this weight, he's always going to have a big advantage. The other thing is that he's skilled fundamentally. I think that his corner would like to see him finish off his combinations with a left hook more because he throws the jab, right hand, and then he just lets his man stand there.
And he's looking for that same shot that he hit Diaz with the last round. He's working the jab and waiting on that right hand. He took a left hand from Diaz.
He moved into that punch.
Yes,
actually,
he did. I'd heard him, I think.
Diaz was in position for that punch maybe the first time all night.
Stop punching. Stop punching.
Don't forget, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, anybody's going to figure out what you're doing. And I think that Akeem is starting to fall into that pattern of jab, right hand. It's still working.
Yes. He took a right hand from Diaz again. But
Diaz had told us that he wanted to rough Akeem up, that he wanted to make him slug, but he really hasn't been able to do very much of that.
Another right hand a moment ago from Akeem. It was a right hand lead. Akeem's still definitely looking to load up on that right hand.
He's starting to backhand that jab a little.
There was a right.
And you could hear Miguel Diaz yelling back again with the left hook, and that's what we had said before. After that right hand, you've got to come back with that left.
Uppercut there, and that got Diaz's attention too. Diaz gets out of there in a hurry.
And in that little sequence there, Barry, Akeem was actually out fighting Diaz at his own game, which is infighting. And if Diaz can't win the trench battles, he can't win the fight.
Yeah, he said that, in fact, this morning when we talked to him. He said, I feel I can fight inside if I have to. Well, he hasn't had to, and he's getting it done both ways right now. I don't know what it is. I hear Miguel Diaz talk. I always find myself looking around for Charo.
You find her, you know, there's a seat right next to me.
Round number 6, and it has been a fight that has been owned by Kid Akeem.
Oh, you'd never know it to hear that corner. Miguel was hot between rounds there. He really thinks that Akeem is making this fight tougher than it should be.
And Diaz, as you can see, landing in the single-digit numbers for most of this fight.
But what Diaz was telling Akeem is one of the things that we pointed out last round, and that is after he throws the right hand, he's not coming back with a left hook, and he's leaving himself kind of off balance, which is how he got nailed in the last round.
Diaz's punches lacking a lot and being caught on the gloves of Akeem. What there is of them are being caught on the gloves.
He's just sort of running in a way and trying to land single punches. He's not trying to set anything up at all, Barry. He's not working the body. He's just trying to get lucky, basically, and he's been doing that since the first round.
Diaz looking more and more like a tired fighter right now. There's a combination, a good left hand by Akeem, and a double left hand again. And Diaz may be ready to go once more here.
Well, Diaz certainly is a durable guy, I'll tell you, Barry. He's taking a lot of punches. He's exhausted, but he's hanging in there.
Akeem just covers up. Akeem obviously does not feel that Diaz can hurt him at all at this juncture.
And yet, you know, you're right about that, and yet Akeem's not taking a lot of chances. It could be that he's afraid of getting butted, maybe getting cut, but he's not taking a lot of chances to try and end this fight.
Yeah, he alluded to that earlier in his corner. He made that point.
Akeem is just digging in with that left hook now.
Left in the nose of Diaz. Mouthpiece of Diaz goes. Combination again by Akeem. I have to think Toby Gibson will not let this go too far.
Well, either Toby's going to have to rescue Diaz or his corner's going to have to, because he really doesn't have a chance to win the fight.
No, he doesn't. He's really a beaten fighter, and there's really no reason to get the guy hurt. He's not taking an inordinate amount of punishment, but it's getting more and more cumulative here.
He's basically being hit at will, and he doesn't even have a puncher's chance to win it.
So we come to the end of the 6th round, and you really have the feeling that this one may not go too much further than it already has. We'll be back. Action here in just a week or so. Iran Barkley. Talk about a guy who just seems to keep coming back.
This guy is really the epitome of overachieving, Barry. I mean, this is a man who I used to cover as a club fighter at the Felt Forum, went on to knock out Tommy Hearns, and now he's getting a 3rd shot at the middleweight title.
And that should be an interesting fight. He's fighting, of course, Nigel Benn, and I look for that to be the most interesting fight.
That should be fireworks. I mean, you got 2 punchers. Neither one of them plays very much defense. You know there's going to be a lot of punches traded.
Round number 7 here. Claudemir Diaz just trying to do what he can with Kid Akeem, and Kid Akeem, frankly, would just like to end it, get it over with right now. Which is basically what Miguel Diaz said to him in the corner.
I bet you Claudemir Diaz would like to get this over with, too.
Yeah, I think he probably would. There was a good shot by Akeem, and that knocked Diaz backwards. It really won't take much. Left hand, right hand behind it. But then he missed the next 2.
But for the most part, Barry, the only power punch that Akeem is landing consistently is that straight right hand.
That's true, and it's always coming behind the jab.
You know, when a fighter has a chance to brace himself for a punch, a lot of people believe that the effect is somewhat diminished. Now, what's happening here is that Diaz knows that when Akeem probes with that left hand, he's coming back with the right. So he has that split second to get ready.
Your card again showing a shutout, and I don't know how anybody can see this any other way, although I've been surprised many times here. Well, started with a left.
But a good counter right by Diaz, who I didn't really think had one left in him.
But it might have been the last hurrah. Body shot by Akeem. Another right hand by Akeem.
Well, this Diaz is a game kid. He knows he hasn't won 1 minute of this fight, but he's still in there plugging.
He's throwing punches.
He's just outgunned, though. I mean, Akeem has too many weapons, and the physical equipment is just a mismatch.
Another right hand to the top of the head. It was set up by a left hand. Diaz seems as though he has been 1 punch away from going. That is not a knockdown. For a good portion of this fight. Gibson telling Akeem not to hold his head when he punches.
He's trying to pull him down into that uppercut. It's an old Muhammad Ali trick.
I think Akeem is still very much aware of the potential for a headbutt here, too. In fact, there was one just a couple of minutes ago. Right hand by Diaz that if he had anything left could have done some damage.
Every so often Diaz lands that one, especially to punch over the top, and he spit the mouthpiece out.
And he's about ready to go again. A right to the top of the head, but only 18 seconds left in this round. And there won't be a knockout in the 7th round either. Diaz really a beaten fighter. You have to think one of these times he will not come out for the following round, and you would also have to think that his corner would be well advised to tell him that.
Well, let's see, you know, if they advise him just to stay put at the end of this this rest period.
Of course, in the corner of Claudemir Diaz, the language of choice is Portuguese, which is what they speak in Brazil, and so if we eavesdrop, we're not going to be able to be too enlightening about what's being said there, although I have to think what's being said is, let's not go too much further here.
You never know. They may think he's winning.
Well, that's true. You do get a kind of a false sense. Here's another look.
That was a good left hook in there by Akeem. He hasn't landed a heck of a lot of those, but the few that he has landed have been solid. But again, behind it came the big right. There's that counter right by Diaz that he slipped in between punches, but you know, the guy's really not a big puncher.
Yeah, in fact, he really didn't set down on that particular punch very well at all.
It was an arm punch. He really threw it over the top. Not much power that way.
Start round number 8. And Diaz is still there. But once again, as we look at the numbers, single digits for Diaz, he is a beaten fighter to be sure. I've learned not to guess with the judges here in Nevada, but in this case,
well,
I think
let's go out on a limb.
Yeah.
I mean, Kid Akeem went to high school here in Nevada, here in Las Vegas, married a local girl. He's kind of a local kid. I think he's ahead.
Yeah, he could be, yeah. And it still may not come down to a decision, so. Super flyweights going 10 rounds. Claudemir Diaz of Brazil, Kid Akeem of Las Vegas by way of Nigeria. There was a right hand, and down goes Diaz.
And I don't know what was holding him up for the 30 seconds or so before that.
5, 6, 7, 8.
And now let's see what Toby Gibson does here. I know that he's not going to let this go too far.
He's going to let it go a little further, though.
I think it'll take one more punch. That's not a...
It's obvious that Diaz has no legs under him. I don't really see the point to this.
I agree.
It's inevitable.
Still a long way to go in the 8th round. Diaz has absolutely nothing left.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say that this guy is not going to quit until somebody gets him out of this.
I think that's absolutely right. Somebody should.
I don't feel I'm an alarmist. All right, maybe here Gibson's helping him out. No, it's just...
Get that mouthpiece in there.
Diaz in the last round spit the mouthpiece.
He's lost the mouthpiece 2 other times and they didn't replace.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Gibson's way of giving him a couple extra seconds rest.
Could be.
I mean, it's not like Diaz has shown us the ability that maybe he can land a knockout punch.
Yeah, I think that's right. This is droning on a little bit longer than it should here. Still just inside 30 seconds to go in this round.
And he's just barely on his feet now. You know, this movie needs a new editor, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Try to reel her 2 out.
Needs to put the fini sign up is what it needs. Diaz just stumbling around him. Takes a deep breath and just try to get through this round if you can. Get back into your corner. If this corner has any sense, they'll say that's enough. Into the 8th round. We'll be back.
Here's the knockdown punch from Akeem. Right hand. There goes the mouthpiece, and there goes Diaz.
And I believe they are going to stop the fight. It was not Toby Gibson who stopped it. It was the doctor who stopped it, and I think it's very well stopped. If anything, it's a little bit late.
I think it's a little bit late. You know, they've got a towel in that corner because I saw it, but I guess nobody took the initiative to throw it in because this fight was over 2 rounds ago, Barry.
So Kid Akeem is the winner over a game, Claudemir Diaz, although I find myself, I hate to hear myself say that, calling a fighter game, because that just basically means you've been outmatched.
And that you've been hit quite a bit, probably more than you should have.
And that's to take nothing away from the winner, Kid Akeem, who came with the full arsenal.
I thought he was very good. I know he did not get a good critique in his own corner, but obviously they know what he's capable of even better than we do.
Diaz only landing 4 to 37 of Akeem's punches in round number 8. So there's just no question as to how lopsided this fight was. Had it have gone to the judges' cards, very lopsided, at least 2 10-8 rounds, I think.
That was about as complete a victory as a fighter could have.
So Kid Akeem takes the next step toward what he hopes will be a January title shot. And then up to bigger and better, he hopes. Although he said that he's perfectly comfortable at this weight. And Miguel Diaz said, well, maybe bantamweight, but he really doesn't see him going any more than that.
Well, you know what happens? There's not a lot of money in these divisions. You know, the lower weight divisions, we talked about it in terms of Carvalho and all. And what happens is that fighters sometimes just put on weight so they can try and make some more money, and they diminish themselves. I mean, right now, I can't think of a more devastating 115 than this guy.
All right, let's get the official word from Michael Buffett.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Toby Gibson, acting on the advice of ringside physician Dr. James Wishgame, stops the bout at the end of the 8th round as the fighter in the red corner, Diaz, is unable to continue. It goes into the books as an 8th round TKO. The winner, the Black Eagle, Kid Akeem.
So Kid Akeem, to the applause of the fans here at the Hacienda, is the winner in 8 rounds, and there'll be more to come for this young man. More to come for us, too. We'll be back right after this. Matthews is with a guy who doesn't really look as happy as you think he might. Kid Akeem, Wally, you got it.
Well, Kid Akeem, the easiest kind of winner here tonight, but it seems that you and Miguel Diaz and some of the other people in your corner here are a little bit upset with your performance.
Yes, they kept my corner kept telling me, well, after you come back with left foot. I don't know what I didn't do. I did it in the gym all the time. I just don't know what happened tonight. I just can't do it.
Well, we did mention that at ringside, that it seemed like you were going a little right-hand crazy, that you were setting your man up with a jab, hitting him with the right, and then just doing it over and over again. Is that what you got into?
What was going on is this. I was trying to knock the guy out. Like I said this morning, I don't want to go to 10 rounds. All I want to do is to knock this guy out between 6 rounds. But that's what I'm trying to do, but it's not easy to do that.
Well, of course, it was the right hand that finally did finish the bout. You had the knockdown, and we're going to take a look at it here. You can tell us what's happening.
Yeah, right there. First of all, I went back to the stomach, then I come back with right hand. But he was so beautiful left foot, but I don't know what's going on tonight. I just can't do it. I don't know what's going on.
Here it is from another angle.
Yeah, that's it right there. It's right there. I got a chance to throw left foot, but I don't know.
Well, I'd like to ask Miguel Diaz a question. You know, we were pretty complimentary to Kid Akeem at ringside, but you were very, very hot in the corner between some rounds. What exactly was your complaint with the fighter?
More than that, I tried to motivate him to do the right thing. Throw the combination. This